let's talk about how I color grade and why I color grade like I do. I think it's worth splitting this up. So in this first video, I'm going to talk about the approach to what goes into the camera. So you kind of think of color grading as this thing that happens once you've got the footage back onto the computer, but really it's about what's in the scene. And I'm going to show you some of that, but there's a lot more to it. But I think it's important to talk about what you put in front of the camera first, and my philosophy on why I do that. I think I'm just going to jump right in with the capturing of the footage, because no matter if you're shooting in 8-bit or 10-bit or RAW, what you capture is the most important thing. Because if you capture shitty footage with shitty light, then it's gonna still be shitty footage with shitty light. There are a couple of things I want to hit on before I get into this. One is, as much as color grading is a huge part of my job that I enjoy almost more than any part of it, I'm not qualified or trained. I don't know what the certifications is for that, but people always say it. I'm not a trained color grader. I'm not a professional color grader. That is not my job, even though technically it is a lot of the time. I do really enjoy it. What I'm saying here is not right. It's probably not worth following if you already kind of know what you're doing. There's definitely some amazing places, even just on YouTube, to find info about color grading that's going to be better than this. The easiest, quickest thing you can do to practice this is using the sunlight. Using the sun, you're gonna get literally the best light possible if you time it right. So today, it's contrasty, but it's a look, and it's a look that has rich colors in it, or the potential for rich colors. So I've got the A7S III here, and the little Sony Action Cam that for some reason I love, and I've just got some shots of Stockport. I've come out at a time when the light's particularly good, and I've chose subjects that are going to pop with that light. Hard light's always going to make architecture look more bold, but it's also going to add texture to people's faces, so it might not be what you want for people. But it does all start with light. Well-lit footage shot in 8-bit is always going to look better than shitty footage shot in RAW. Doesn't matter how expensive your camera is. Last of all, my philosophy comes from an oversaturation of undersaturation. I think that there's a thing about log footage, and you see it even in films, but like sometimes in documentaries, definitely in YouTube videos, where people kind of get stuck with the log look, if that makes sense. So you shoot in S-Log, C-Log, V-Log, N-Log, whatever, whoever's log you use, you kind of like, maybe you edit in it, and you go through your footage in it, you see it a lot, and so you come to feel like that's the norm. Where if you look back, I look back on some of the photos that I used to take on slide film. I fucking love slide film. Slide film's beautiful. That stuff was contrasty as anything. It was punchy, it was saturated, and I really like that. And I fell into this hole of like getting stuck with the log look, not wanting to bend it too much, not wanting to break it too much, not wanting to push it. And then recently, I just thought, especially for videos for this channel and for my running channel, I just thought, do you know what, I'm working with crappy action cams. I'm gonna push them till they break, till they just almost fall apart. But actually the opposite ended up happening. The more I pushed it, the more I liked the look of it, even from these crappy action cams, especially from these crappy action cams, because add in that halation and that grain as well, which, don't get me wrong, it's definitely, I overuse it. So it's got the potential to be overused. I understand that, but this is just for a bit of fun. My fucking about on YouTube is where I make the mistakes that I don't then take into my client work, if you get me. So like, obviously I'm not going to throw the elation, the bloom, I'm not going to put like 8mm grain on everything for client work, but the more I experiment with this, the more I find my look, which is actually just kind of punchy, kind of, it's like film-like, but not in the like, oh, it's film, expired, cross-processed, like very clearly like film. It's like the film that I think of when I think back to stuff that I was shooting back when I was in uni. So when I was doing my masters, I was shooting on medium format slide film, and I was shooting on large format Ektar, Kodak Ektar. And I loved the look of Ektar. I'm sure it's Ektar. God, fact checking on the fly. Yeah, Ektar. Sorry, the more I've said it, the less it's making sense. Now that shit was expensive back then, but it had this like fantastic look for like architecture and skies, and that's kind of what I'm pushing towards with the color grades that I do. I'm gonna get it wrong. Some of the stuff's gonna look janky as fuck, but like I say, this is the playground. This is where I experiment. And it isn't just in the color grade, it's in the lighting of it. Like this kind of scene. Yes, I could have my RGB lights behind me and I could make sure that I'm perfectly lit on either side, but I like being in the shadows a little bit. I like it being a little bit moody and it's kind of uncomfortable, but also quite welcoming in a weird sort of way. I don't know.